Another approach in solving for the average precipitation of a given catchment area is Thiessen-Polygon method. Learn this approach here in hydrology. For a specific catchment area with the included rain stations, there are different approaches in converting station precipitation into areal precipitation. The three methods are arithmetic mean method, Thiessen-Polygon method, and isoheital method. The function for arithmetic mean method uses the average of all precipitation data from the stations. This is the simplest approach, but it is not that accurate compared to the other methods. Thiessen-Polygon method is a more accurate approach as it also factors in the area surrounding the rain station, so the function includes the area. With a simple function for Thiessen-Polygon method, the precipitation is recorded at site, making it a provided parameter when computing for the average precipitation. The only parameter that needs computing is the area. There are steps in drawing the partition of areas for each rain station. The initial one is to have Delaunay triangulation to create boundaries of areas, the external boundary of which should be a convex polygon. A convex polygon is one where the interior angles are less than 180 degrees. The next step is to look for the perpendicular bisectors of each drawn connecting line, and these bisectors are extended until they intersect. This intersection is called the orthocenter of the triangle. From these orthocenters, trace out the Voronoi diagram, or what we term as Thiessen polygon, and then we have the corresponding area for each rain station. The weighted area is then estimated using grid method. Given a certain catchment area and its 6 rain stations, with the precipitation readings, let us employ Thiessen method to look for the average precipitation of the whole basin. In connecting the rain stations, we first check the boundaries and create a convex polygon. So we connect stations A and B if we move clockwise. Then from A, we have stations C and D to follow. If we connect A and C, we have an acute angle at station A. But continuing from C to E, there is an angle greater than 180 at point C. So the convex polygon connects A and E. Then from E, we place a line to F. And again, we have stations D and B to connect from station F. Also, we know that connecting F to D and D to B creates an interior angle which is greater than 180 degrees, which means the boundary should be from station F to B. This is the convex polygon, the external boundaries of the catchment area. The next step is to use Delaunay triangulation to connect stations. The check if the stations are to be connected is through placing a circle. Say, for example, we check if stations A and C should be connected. Place a circle where the circumference touches the two stations. If the circle does not cover any other station, the two stations can be connected. At this instance, there isn't any other station inside the circle, so we connect the two stations. By placing a circle between points B and C, we know that these two can also be connected. Do the same for stations C and D. There is no station inside the circle, so we connect stations C and D. There is also a connecting line for stations C and E, and between D and F. Also with stations D and E, and with stations B and D. It would also be wise to note that after Delaunay's triangulation, all stations are just connected to their surrounding stations. Moving on to the second step, take the perpendicular bisectors for each connecting line we generated. This can be done by working on with your scale and measuring half the length of the line, but the bisector will be located more accurately using a compass. From the ticks of the bisector, extend each to locate the orthocenters of each triangle. Say we start with triangle ABC. Extend all the ticks from the three sides of the triangle and place a mark on their intersection, which is near side AC. For the big triangle ACE above, extend the three ticks and note that their orthocenter goes way beyond the slide. Moving to the lower triangle BCD, extend the ticks and their orthocenter goes below the triangle. Then take triangle CDE, where extending the bisectors, we can locate the orthocenter above. For triangle BDF, the extended bisectors show the orthocenter below the catchment area. There is also triangle DEF, where the orthocenter is located inside the triangle. The next step is to identify the borders for each station. The boundaries for station A is then taken as the bisectors shown, which shows that the station also has a minimal chunk of area from the catchment. For station B, we create the boundaries as shown. For the boundaries of station C, we draw out those lines, and so on with the stations D, E, and F. Having cleared out the respective area for each range station, we can then estimate each of these using grid method. The grid method is a rough estimation of the area of irregular shapes. Using the scale, you can draw grids onto the map. For this example, each grid is a square kilometer. So we estimate the area of station A. Let's estimate the grids, which are almost filled as two grids of half square kilometers. Then the three grids with small chunks can be estimated as another completed grid. So we can say that area A is about 2 square kilometers. Now take station B and place grids over it. If we take those grids completely filled by the map, we can start at the second layer. Then count 1, 2, and 3. 4 can be estimated as the two ends. The next layer below, we can count grids 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then the next layer starts with 10 covering the two grids half filled. Continue with 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. The next grid is counted as 17, but we take the partial grid from the succeeding layer. Also for grids 18. Then grids 19 until 24 are completely filled, but 25 is taken as the two next grids, which are partially full. From the next layer, we can take 26 to 32, and 33 are the three end grids. We combine two grids for 34 and 35, then take the complete grids of 37 and 38, and again 39 for the two combined grids, and 40 at the tip of the map. Above the map, we can then estimate the almost filled grid as 41, then the remaining grids as 42. Then there would also be the small chunks on different grids, which we can combine into half a square kilometer. Therefore, we have counted area B as 42.5 square kilometers. Do the same estimation for area C. We take two grids each for 1 and 2, followed by grids 3, 4, 5, and 6. Grade 7 is also combined. Then take grades 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Grade 15 also is combined, as well as 16. Then number the complete grades 17 until 23. 24 combines two grades, but grades 25 to 29 are complete. Grade 30 also has two, just the same as grade 31. Then grades 32, 33, and 34 are complete, but 35 is combined. Also with 36. 37 is complete, but 38 is combined. Then there is a grid which is half-filled, so the total area for Station C is 38.5 square kilometers. Do the same grid estimation for Station D, taking combined grids for 1 and 2. 3 is complete, and 4 is again combined as well as 5. 6, 7, and 8 are complete, while 9 is combined. 10 to 14 are complete, but 15 is combined. Let's estimate 16 as complete with the small chunks below the map. Then grades 17 to 21 are complete. 22 is combined, also with 23. But grades 24 to 29 are complete. Grades 30 until 34 are also complete, but we take 35 as two combined grades. 36 to 39 are complete, and 40 is combined. Grades 41 to 43 are complete, but 44 is combined. 45 is combined, but 46 is complete, and 47 is combined. The area is 47 square kilometers for Station D. Station E is smaller, where we take grids 1 and 2 as combined. 3 is complete. Then again, 4, 5, and 6 are combined. Grades 7 to 9 are complete, and 10 with 11 are combined. Grades 12 to 17 are considered complete, while 18 is combined. The total area for Station E is 18 square kilometers. The last station area can be estimated as follows. Combine grid 1 and complete grids 2 to 5. Then another combined grid 6 with 7 to 11 complete. Grids 12 to 16 as complete, and also consider grid 17 as combined with grids 18 to 27 as complete. 28 is combined with grids 29 and 30 as complete. Then grids 31 and 32 are combined. There is a remaining half-filled grid, making the area of Station F as 32.5 square kilometers. Having all parameters complete, we can then solve for the average precipitation. By placing the precipitation and estimated area in a table, we can then solve for the numerator, which is the product of the precipitation and the area. So 9.58 times 2 is 19.16. 8.67 by 42.5 is 368.48. 9.12 times 38.5 is 351.12. 9.23 times 47 is 433.81. 8.96 by 18 is 161.28. And 8.83 times 32.5 is 286.98. The total estimated area is 180.5, while the total PXAX is 1,620.83. The average precipitation is then the ratio of these two summations, that is 1620.83 divided by 180.5, resulting to 8.98 millimeters.